as you can see, this is only going to get more intricate, more detailed as time progresses. Today we're going to talk about traditional versus digital. Traditional, I mean by way of like sculpting clay or media similar to clay for the sake of entertainment. I'm not discussing sculpture as like fine art sculpture, which is in itself its own artwork, but this workshop is really focusing on sculpture in the form of entertainment for video games, for movies, for media applications. Does that make sense? Okay, so I want any questions about paper mache or breaking clay. I'm talking about clay, digital sculpture. Let's talk about the differences between the two. The purpose it has in movies and game does. We're going to discuss ZBrush and the development pipeline, and which alludes us to the software which I gave you, which is Sculpting. We don't have ZBrush in-house, and I want to disappoint you, or if you're misled, think that this is a ZBrush class. Just hold on to your hats, because it's on its way. We just need to get through some formalities to get that into the system, into our curriculum. But we're making headway by bringing you a free downloadable software created by the people from ZBrush called Sculptures, which will do a lot of our fundamentals. We're going to discuss navigation and tools, OBJ import and export. We'll talk about a little demo, things in which you will all be having hands-on with, which have the software installed. And we'll do a little lab, work on some mini project during the workshop, and we'll open it up for questions and answers after or before the end of the class. Any questions so far? Does everyone have a tablet?
Well,
No tablet.
Yeah, just I don't have one.
Okay, it's easier to sculpt with a tablet because the pressure on the tip is much more precision-based than using a mouse. Because when you hit the mouse right button, it just floods on rather than being sensitive to how much pressure you want to apply to the sculpture. So pen tablet is probably most suited for this type of meeting.
Yeah, can I still?
Seth, you want to borrow one?
No, you can hang. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Okay. So, traditional sculpting. What is it used for, and where do we see it mostly? In regard to media and movies, it's seen a lot in pre-production. Sometimes to get a visual understanding or even a sense of scale of characters for movies, for games, go get a really fine sculpture artist, a really good artisan who can bring definition, reality to the sculpt. And they can be used for molds, for special effects later on. But recently they're starting to use these actual hand sculpts for scans, for digital scans, which is cool because you get a really good replication of a sculpture in form of digital, in a digital form. But that's changed now because we can do the opposite. We take a digital form today and create a print, a 3D print out of it, and go the opposite direction. So you've probably heard of that, probably seen it before. But this is from a former co-worker at Sony. This is Raf, which said he works at Sony right now. He's the lead character. He's one of my favorites. I'm just look back here. I love his anatomy. If you've taken any class about characters or sculpting, the thing you're talking about anatomy constantly. Because to show structure and form, you have to know a lot about physical form and anatomy. And I hope we get a more stronger presentation and study about anatomy in the school. So hopefully anyways. So traditional sculpting, use of clay and armatures and wire. The cool thing about traditional sculpting is that you get the feel of it in front of you, the presence of the sculpture, especially if it's been created in a way that just showcases the character, showcases the human form. It's very dynamic, and it's probably practical use more visual. You get to see something physically in front of you. You can look around it 3D without being in a viewport. And also, you can possibly even scan it. That's probably the only other benefit having, besides having presentation quality, which is cool in itself. To see something in scale sculpted out. So that's traditional, but we're trying to move forward, and we're trying to bring that clay class that we had, which is being 103, to a new direction, and bring visual sculpting to the world. So imagine doing all the sculpture in clay, but done digitally on your computer, and creating all the characters and shapes, objects, whatever you may be, and also using those objects throughout your media, creating objects that can be used for games, for movies, at a scale that's high definition, and also scalable to a more, I would say, smaller memory footprint, like iPad or Android, or even some of the older generation consoles. And taking high poly sculpt and reducing it so you can get the quality and look of something very detailed and refined, but yet at a fraction of the memory cost. Does that make sense? Okay. So visual sculpting is not a new thing, but it's a very fascinating thing. It's taking its own fanfare beyond just practical use in the entertainment industry. A lot of people are using it as a form of art. You can just create sculptures and do designs and be very graphical with it, and incorporate that into your 2D design, 3D design, even churn them out on a 3D printer and showcase them. These 3D printers that we're seeing now are only going to get larger, only going to get bigger and faster. So the things that you can imagine today that can be sculpted and created can happen, really relatively soon. And I'm also hearing things like the military is using sculpting, 3D sculpture technology to create, materials out in the field. So who knows what it's stuff, 3D printers, material printers, die-cast material. Anyway, so it has to start from somewhere. You have to generate the actual character or object, whatever it may be, digitally, and then it can be refined and processed for something physical. It can be implemented into a movie, into a game, or created physically. Some more cool stuff. Characters, I have a processor can run in real time, but yet you need to have the highest quality level for texturing and detail and rendering. So it's all some good stuff. Here's the pipeline. In studios, it all starts with an idea, a concept, where the characters are generated. Is always in the highest level, some rough form. Then maybe it goes to high quality. In the past, it go to the modeler, who would build it in the lowest level, so they can give it to an animator and get into the engine to be used for the console or the PC game or even animation for a film. It's changed now because high quality sculpt carries more detail and has more usage at that stage of refinement, even though it's a concept, because you can use it to generate ideas for promotion on film, get backers on board, get a sense of character size and scale, give people an inside look at what the world will look like in fullest detail. So having high quality stuff committed early on the pipeline only just creates buzz, intrigues, interest, and kind of brings people forward during production, because they can see it right away rather than waiting down the line for the final model to be created, because it takes time to do so. And in the high quality sculpt phase, you can do your painting, 3D texturing, and also you can extract your maps for spec and normals. And even from the high quality sculpt, you can create the model that's high res for rendering. It may not be the multi-million poly count as a sculpture, but it could be and high res for cinematics and close-up shots of characters and objects. And then that is broken down through always having a hard time with that word. Retopologize.
Recapo.
It always sounds like apologize. Apologize. I always call retopo. So anyways, it gets retopo because I just can't say the word correctly. I don't even know why. To a smaller poly count that's usable at an engine that can drive maybe 1,000 or 10,000 faces rather than million. So it's beneficial to have a smaller scale model. Like it always gets extracted from something at a higher level. Make sense? And then after that, it goes through a reading process with the tech team and eventually to animators, and then they make the model from the concept. And plus it come alive, and it's fascinating to see something run, jump, turn around, strike, and do all the cool stuff that we see in the end of the pipeline. Okay. Any questions on this? So, concept. As you can see, it comes from an idea. Generate the silhouette, the shape, the basic form and mass. This was when I was at NAMCO when I learned that Apple Center was a project, and some of these characters came from there. And it goes through a high poly count ZBrush pass where the characters created and done a million poly or so, and create all the detail on this level. And it goes through texturing, and you can extract maps through that process to get an in-game level. That's really a reduction of that high poly count sculpture. So they're all related. It all starts from one source concept to high poly sculpts. And there's some more of that stuff. ZBrush. Texture maps. Okay. That's the rigging pose. Ours is at 45 neutral. My riggers and my comic character arts pilot, if you don't know that, right? There's a retopologize. Taking something that's kind of a bad, my bad for getting a choppy resolution, but take something that's high poly sculpted and you start reducing, making it eatable, edible, processable through the processor of your console or your computer. Because real-time animation running with a million polys just doesn't happen yet. It will, but not yet. It just chugs it. So we reduce everything down to 20,000 polys or so from a million. Can you imagine, if you know, and if you have an idea of that number, how you go from 2 million to 2,000, you can see that's a big jump. So the challenge is to make something that small look as close to something that was created at a million polys. Then there's ZBrush. This is where it all goes eventually. And it's a tool that the industry uses where you can create characters right out of ZBrush or import them as OBJs or start out at the low res and then bring it to the multi-billion count, poly count level, or you can generate them through Dynamesh or Z-spheres right out of ZBrush and create these magnificent characters with the multi-poly count level and all the detail and form that Sculpting can provide. So we'll talk about ZBrush. I'll get into the demo of it, but I want to get you guys started on here's some more ZBrush cool stuff. You're all familiar with it? You've seen it, right? ZBrush? You heard about it? It's not going away, so we're going to get better.
First time hearing about it.
Yeah. Some more characters that ZBrush generates, or you can't get ZBrush. It's fascinating. So look it up online. You'll see all the millions of artists throughout the world, across the globe are using ZBrush. Every studio that I've worked at has used ZBrush to create characters, little maps, and render characters, or something like worked on. Sculptures, really good. That's some samples. Any questions so far? Let's get your pen tablets out. And let's open up some. I'll show you some ZBrush stuff later on in class, but I want to get everyone, after sitting through the whole spiel, the dialogue, I want to wake you guys up. So let's get you moving and working and getting busy here. So, are you good?
Yeah.
Set up? You good?
How do I, can I need to install it
Okay. Yeah, you go to install right now.
or, I can't install it?
Are you doing it on the desktop? You're not,
I
you're not
tried to do it
permission.
on my, yeah, I tried to do it on my flash drive and it didn't.
You may not have permission.
Did he install it on all these computers?
No. You know what? That one might have it.
Okay.
So go to the one in the back. So I'm going to relegate you to the back, not because you're being punished, but that might be a working station.
Okay.
So you're being
Okay. Let's go through some of these. Let's go to the interface. First of all, if you're using a mouse, it's left mouse to hit your star to rotate. There's rotation, zoom, and translate, which I want you guys to get familiar with right now. If you haven't had any ZBrush experience, we'll talk about how to move around. The Alt button and your pen you press will give you this. So move your object around left and right. That's your translation. You got that? Now, I don't know how you set up your pen. I set mine up where my 3 buttons, I have the back button as my right, and my middle button is the front button. A lot of people have it reversed. I do mine kind of like in order of the mouse. So my right button is the back button on my hand. Hopefully you have 2 buttons on your pen, and your left button is the tip. So when you press the pen to the tablet and you use the Alt button on your keyboard, you get this. Now the right button gives you zoom.
How do you zoom out?
Okay, it's a quick 2-button thing. Hold down Alt, and then let go, and hold your right button.
How do you get the selection? I'm on paintbrush.
You got a paintbrush?
Yeah, is there just a plain selection?
No, just put the cursor off the.
Oh, okay, it's the same thing,
Good?
Yes.
Okay, so-
I'm dancing the ball instead of moving.
Good. Okay, I'm also keeping the cursor or my finger off the object, the ball, the sphere.
Oh, that
I'm just showing how to navigate right now.
Thank you.
How to move around through this 3D world of sculptures.
How did you say it was to zoom out?
Okay, to zoom out, hold down Alt,
Okay.
right button or right mouse or whatever your pen is, and then let go of Alt. It's a real quick. Got that?
How do you rotate?
Rotate, you just put the pen tablet
Oh, okay.
around the object or the sphere, and just spin it around. So all your navigation is done off the sphere. And then when you're on the sphere, you'll see the cursor. So let's get to that one.
Is it done?
We're good?
Is it done?
Any questions? When you hold down your space bar, it gives you a quick user interface. And you'll see the options for size, strength, detail, and brush mix. Now, these are the most common used when you sculpt in 3D, particularly for this software. But it's provided on a hotkey, which is your space bar. So every time you need to change your brush, the strength of your brush, the detail of your brush, the space bar brings up that hotkey interface, and then you can dial in the settings here, or as you can see in the far left, that the slider is taking effect when I'm doing that as well. So if you don't want to pull your eye away from what you're working on to go to this interface in the left corner, is stay on the ball. You drive the ball and change your settings. Make sense? Okay, so I want you to go through each of these, be familiar with the amount of range it takes to move to max and minimum. Doesn't work. You gotta know how much to apply, how much to turn up. Because part of sculpting is being sensitive to the application of the tool. Even in clay sculpting, you don't hammer in your clay. Sometimes you gotta brush it in. You have to feather it in something, depending on what you're trying to do. All right, any questions so far?
What is brush mask?
I've got them,
Okay.
but if you want to know,
Is there a quick reset or default for the control?
excuse me?
Is there a reset for, a quick reset for your size and strength?
No, they remember the last place you were. So Control Z kind of will bring you back a few steps. I'm not sure if this has an unlimited queue of how many Control Z turns can occur, but you can undo what you're doing by Control Z, and you'll find a lot of applications. All right, so Frank Lorenz, you had a question about this mask, right? Okay. So masking is what it sounds like. If you want to work on an area and leave an area untouched, you can mask off. If you're painting a car, you can mask off the window and then apply polymer to the metal surface, and the window will be painted. Otherwise, you'll go back and straighten it off later. Same with brush mask. I can mask off an area and work it around it, and the area that I mask won't be touched. I can invert that too, and work only the area and the outside. So masking just allows you to control the surface that you want to affect compared to the rest of the surface. Imagine if you had an elaborate sculpt and you're working in a very fine location, you want to indent or apply pressure to something that you've worked on for a while and establish shape. Or you mask this, you don't have to touch it. Make sense? So let's get to a simple tool. Let's change our size. So we'll get a large circle or a big circle. And let's go to this option which is called symmetry. What does that mean? Any ideas?
That both sides would be the same?
Yes. So I'll need to work on one side. That's important when you're working with characters, especially if your character is symmetrical. Those are asymmetrical, which is good too, because having a character that's unbalanced is good contrast to your profile and your character lineup, your character silhouette. But I like to work in one half and allow that work to continue to the other side without working twice. We're going to use symmetry, and I want you to use the tool up here called, find it. That one. Oh, it's called grab. I was thinking of another. I get confused with like a ZBrush. Let's use our grab tool. Find it right here. It's looks like a navigation button, left and down, right? Let's go ahead and pull as if we're using a ball of clay. This is really just transitioning from traditional clay into digital form. So if I was giving you a ball of clay, I want you to mold it. I want you to pull it and tug on it until you got something that's shaped. What I want to do is create a human head for this quick demo. Not going to be exact. I just want to. We all have an idea with the location of landmarks like our nose, eyes, ears, chin, and jaw. So I don't have to have any concept art ready for us to follow. This is just to get us into the tool, get ready to use the software and start moving ahead. So we're just going to quick cartoon character. Let's use our grab tool, and let's use the symmetry and start pulling this wall to a more skull-like shape. Because we don't have heads that are completely round. We do have angles, and then we got quite angular. If you notice, we did any head studies, that most characters and most life drives showcase the planes of the human body, the facets of the bridge, the brow, cheeks, and we know that the head's not completely round. So that's just understood. Let's start on this path, just pulling this object around, and if you don't like what you did, you can always adjust. And dial in the strength, play with the size. Get your ball of clay, round it off, or I would say square off, a little more a head. While we're doing that, I want you to be aware of the Alt button is inversing what you're working on. So if I'm pulling with the grab tool, if I want to push a little bit, hold down Alt and go the opposite direction. So you can pull and push the shapes.
You said Alt is supposed to push it in?
Alt inverses what you're doing. Is that happening on your camera?
I'm not sure. It doesn't.
Hold down Alt and are you using the grab tool?
Yeah.
Hold down Alt and
Oh yeah, I guess it does.
the other button I want you to be familiar with is Shift. Shift is almost just like it's smooth tool. Just pass it over the object in an area that you want to smooth out, and it does exactly what it says. Apply too much, it goes back to a grounded shape. It's useful when you start cutting lines and definition into your character or your sculpture, and you want to smooth out a certain area. Well, holding down Shift gives you that function. Any questions so far?
Is there a way to alter the camera movements? Because when I move it, it's kind of inverted.
You're inverted?
Yeah, just by moving the camera, it goes go left and go right or something.
So when you move, let me see what you're doing.
You know, I think
I want to see what you're doing.
I wasn't good at that. Sit back.
Pardon me? Everyone just keep on grinding. We're going to get to some facial landmark in a second.
I think I'm just better to sit back.
Using the grab button.
Oh. Is there a button to switch to camera angles back or front?
The question is, can I have a orthographic view with sculptures? Sadly, no. ZBrush does. Sculptures is this one. go. Sorry. Okay, so let's create some landmarks. And does anyone have other questions so far? You guys are good? Pardon me? Since it's a 2-hour class, I know that we should take a break. We don't have a lot of time to cover this showing in 2 hours. So I'm going to take a break when you need it. We're going to try to push through 5 o'clock time block ahead, okay? Okay with that?
Yeah, actually, I can't find any here.
Okay. Hold on, Tom.
I don't know, I thought we were.
I thought so. Come here tomorrow. Rose. I don't have a mouse, but you should have. Oh, I was gonna test my preference. Go ahead. We should have. Okay, so yeah, you can do my pen. It's all right, you're an A student, so I don't want you to do a nitro. You did. Okay, so let's use our mask tool. Let's turn down the size and holding down the control button and painting a mask blocks out there. Now it looks like a jack-o'-lantern from what's that? So I'm gonna block out that area for the eyes, and I'm going to use the draw tool. I'll go the brow second, and establish it as my first landmark. Kind of alienish. First days always look weird. Continue with this drop tool. You'll see a variety of tools over here on the far left. We'll talk about these as we go, but you're welcome to check them out. And if you get lost or stuck in it, flag me down. I'll help you get back to where you were if you're unhappy with what results you obtain. But check these out. I'm primarily going to play with draw and flatten, maybe pinch. So,
How do you activate that mask?
okay, to activate the mask is hold control and paint with your tab, or if it's your mouse, use your left button.
Okay.
And invert that, you just tap outside the shape to get the opposite of the inverse. And to remove the mask, you just take off the control.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. It was because it was part of that screen, so the resolution had. I don't know if you had any anatomy class or drawing class, but there's the whole idea of drawing inside out, which I'm just a fan of. I don't really draw landmarks outside. I was trying to look with my X-ray glasses and draw things visually. So my first grade is always in a skeletal. Even if I'm drawing manual, it's muscular, and I get down there. So everything may start to take shape eventually. But I'm using the skeletal system, the bone system, to establish my landmarks. I know what things are. But you don't have to follow it. Create the character you want. Damn my computer.
There's the pictures of.
Oh, that's so color, take off the mask.
Hit off the shape.
Oh,
Remove play control. It's tap away from the sculpture. The work.